Subject: Application pending additional verification. Marcus Brennan stared at the screen in the home office, the glow reflecting off the kitchen table behind him. The email had arrived at 6:47 a.m. before he'd finished his first cup of coffee. Dear Mr. Brennan, your application for enrollment in the Illinois Carbon Sequestration Partnership has been received. Your 920 acres are preliminarily qualified under the no-till shall reduced till category. Pending verification, your contract would be valued at $34 per acre annually over a 60-month commitment period. Total projected value, $187,360. To complete enrollment, digital verification of tillage practices must be submitted within 10 business days. Manual documentation alone does not satisfy federal reporting standards under the updated 2025 guidelines. Failure to provide verifiable digital records may result in application denial. Marcus did the math automatically. That was $37,172 per year for 5 years, for doing what he was already doing, not tearing up the soil. He scrolled down. Required documentation includes GPS-verified field operations, satellite-correlated disturbance imaging, and third-party authenticated depth monitoring. The coffee went cold in his hand. Without proof, there would be no credits. 6 months earlier, the JD dealer had come out personally, not the regular sales rep, the regional manager. That told Marcus something. They'd stood in the machine shed while the manager scrolled in through a tablet, showing slides of green fields overlaid with data points. Carbon markets are about to get serious, the manager said. State partnerships, federal backing, real money, but they need real data. He swiped to the next slide, a tractor fitted with sensor arrays. Soil disturbance monitoring, real-time, satellite-linked. Every pass you make gets logged, verified, uploaded. When the auditor asks for proof, you hand them a dashboard. Marcus had crossed his arms. What's it run? The full precision ag package, auto track, section control, soil sensors, cloud integration. You're looking at $178,000 installed. We can finance at 9% over 7 years. The manager tapped the screen. Here's the thing, Marcus. These carbon programs, they're built for digital verification. Manual logs won't cut it anymore. The insurance companies, the federal reviewers, they want data they can independently confirm. Without that, you won't qualify. Marcus had looked past him to the corner of the shed. The 1952 Farmall M sat there, PTO shaft connected to a Lilliston no-till planter his father had retrofitted in 1989. 36 years of consistent, shallow seeding. No GPS, no sensors, just steel gauge wheels set at 2 1/4 inches, locked with grade 8 bolts. I'll pass, Marcus had said. The manager had smiled tightly. Suit yourself, but don't say I didn't warn you when the carbon money starts flowing and you're on the outside. Marcus spread the bills across the kitchen table. His wife Laura sat across from him, calculator in hand. Fertilizer's up again, she said. Anhydrous is $847 a ton. We budgeted $710. He nodded, writing the number on a legal pad. Diesel, $3.89, up from $3.47 last spring. The margins had been tightening for 3 seasons. Not catastrophic, but tighter. Laura tapped the calculator. If we get the carbon credits, that's an extra $37,000 a year. That covers the fertilizer increase and leaves a cushion. Marcus stared at the number. Bank's already counting it, he said quietly. Jeff mentioned it when we renewed the operating line. Said the carbon contract counts as projected revenue. Increases our creditworthiness. Laura looked up. And if it falls through? He didn't answer immediately. Then we're farming on last year's margins with this year's costs. She set the calculator down. What do they need? Digital verification, GPS data, satellite confirmation, stuff we don't have. Can we get it? Not in 10 days. They sat in silence as the refrigerator hummed. Marcus had spent 2 days assembling what he had. Handwritten field logs going back 11 years. Fuel receipts organized by season, seed depth calibration notes, crop rotation maps drawn on graph paper, the soil conservation plan he'd filed with NRCS in 2019. He scanned everything, uploaded it to the portal, and hit submit. 3 days later, the response came. Documentation received. However, manual records do not provide independent third-party validation required under USDA Digital Ag Standards 2025 revision. Please submit GPS field operation logs or equivalent satellite-verified tillage data. Marcus read it twice. He called the program coordinator, a woman named Rachel Morse in Springfield. The policy says verifiable documentation, Marcus said. I've got 11 years of logs. I understand, Mr. Brennan, but the new standards require documentation that can be independently confirmed, something an auditor can cross-reference without relying solely on your records. My records are accurate. I'm sure they are, but we need corroboration, satellite imaging, GPS tracking, something that proves no-till compliance without subjective interpretation. Near defeat moment number 1. So if I don't have a $180,000 guidance system, I don't qualify? Rachel paused. That's one solution, but not the only one. We can schedule a field inspection. If the soil evidence supports your claim, that may satisfy the requirement. May? I can't guarantee outcomes, Mr. Brennan, but it's an option. The email came on a Tuesday. Field inspection scheduled Thursday, March 27, 9:00 a.m. Auditor will verify. Surface residue coverage, minimum 30% required. Soil disturbance depth, maximum 3 inches. Tillage pattern consistency. Compaction profile. Failure to demonstrate compliance may result in contract denial. 5 days. Marcus walked the fields that evening, studying the ground. Corn stubble from last season lay matted across the rows. He could see the narrow planter furrows, shallow and clean. Earthworm castings dotted the surface. The soil structure looked sound. But would it be enough? Marcus was reviewing his records when he found the problem. Spring 2021. The fuel log for the planting window was incomplete. He'd recorded the first 4 days, then nothing for a week. He knew he'd finished planting. The harvest that fall proved it, but the documentation had a gap. He pulled up the satellite images the program had provided as reference data. Most showed clear residue cover, but one image from June 2023 was partially cloud covered. The visible section showed what looked like higher disturbance in the northwest corner of section 14. He drove out to that parcel the next morning. The field looked fine, consistent cover, no excessive tillage scars, but the satellite image was ambiguous, and the policy threshold was strict. Disturbance exceeding 3 inches on more than 15% of enrolled acreage disqualified the entire parcel. If the auditor flagged that corner, it could knock out 140 acres. And if one parcel failed, would they question the rest? Near defeat moment number 2. Marcus stood in the machine shed, looking at the Farmall. The tractor wasn't remarkable. Narrow front end, 4-cylinder engine. Live PTO, the kind of machine that had planted 1 million Midwest acres in the 1950s and 60s. But the planter attached to it was different. His father had bought the Lilliston no-till unit in 1989 when no-till was still experimental. Coulter blades in front to slice residue, double disc openers to create a narrow seed trench, gauge wheels to control depth, press wheels to close the trench. The key was the gauge wheels. They were set manually, steel wheels locked in place with bolts torqued to specification. Once set, they didn't drift. No hydraulics to bleed, no electronics to fluctuate, no operator error from adjusting on the fly. 2¼ inches, every pass, every season. Marcus had calibrated it the same way his father had. Drive across a test strip, dig up the trench, measure with a ruler. If it was off, adjust the bolts. If it was right, lock it down. The Farmall didn't optimize the soil, it just didn't disturb it. He photographed the gauge wheel setup, the locked bolts, the Coulter spacing, the press wheel tension. Then he started the tractor and backed it out of the shed. The auditor was a man named Victor Reyes, mid-40s, clipboard, soil probe, camera. He met Marcus at the field entrance at 9:03 a.m. Mr. Brennan, handshake, professional, thanks for coming out. Victor walked to the nearest row, knelt, and examined the residue. He pulled a measuring tape from his vest and laid it across a meter-square section. "Coverage looks good," he said, writing on the clipboard. He moved to 3 other locations, repeating the process. Then he pulled out the soil probe. "I'm going to check depth at random intervals. If I find consistent disturbance below 3 inches, we've got a problem." Marcus nodded. Victor pushed the probe into the soil at an angle, then pulled it out and examined the core. 2 inches, clean break at residue line. He moved to another spot. Same result. 15 probes across 400 yards. 13 measured between 1, 8, and 2, 4 inches. 2 measured, 2, 7 inches. Victor wrote in silence. Then he looked at Marcus. "Your satellite image from June of 23 shows possible elevated disturbance in the northwest quadrant. I saw that. It's cloud interference. Maybe, but I need to verify in person." They drove to section 14. Victor spent 20 minutes there, probing, photographing, measuring residue. When he finished, he turned to Marcus. "The soil tells the same story as the rest of the farm. Minimal disturbance. Good residue." Marcus exhaled. "But," Victor continued, "I still need documentation that corroborates this. The policy requires verifiable records. Soil evidence is strong, but without operational data, I can't confirm methodology." Near defeat moment number 3, Marcus walked to the truck and came back with a folder. "These are my planter specs, gauge wheel settings, calibration notes, dated photos of the equipment setup from 2014 to present." Victor flipped through the pages. "This is a mechanical depth lock system?" "Correct. No hydraulics, no electronics. Set once, stays set." "So every pass is identical?" "Within a quarter inch, yes." Victor stared at the Farmall in the distance. "You're telling me you've been doing no-till with a 70-year-old tractor?" "I'm telling you the tractor age doesn't matter. The implement does the work. The depth control is mechanical. It's consistent because it can't drift." Victor was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled out his phone and called someone. "Rachel, it's Victor. I'm at the Brennan site. Question on documentation standards. Does the policy explicitly require GPS data, or does it require verifiable evidence of practice?" He listened. "Right. So if I can verify practice through equipment inspection and soil evidence, that satisfies?" Another pause. "Got it. Thanks." He hung up and looked at Marcus. "The policy language says verifiable documentation of no-till practice. It doesn't specify the verification method. GPS is one method, but so is direct equipment inspection combined with soil sampling." Marcus kept his expression neutral. "I'm going to submit my report with a recommendation for approval," Victor said, "but the final decision is with the review board. They meet next Tuesday." The email arrived on Wednesday morning. Subject, application status update. Marcus opened it standing in the machine shed, phone in hand. "Dear Mr. Brennan, your enrollment application for the Illinois Carbon Sequestration Partnership has been approved. Contract term, 60 months. Enrolled acreage, 920 acres. Annual payment, 34 acre. Total contract value, $187,360. Payment schedule, annual disbursement upon verification of continued no-till compliance. Welcome to the program." He read it 3 times. Then he called Laura. "We're in." She was quiet for a moment. "Full approval?" "Full approval, 5 years, the whole amount." "Thank God." He walked outside, looked at the fields, and felt the knot in his chest loosen. 2 weeks later, he ran into the JD dealer at the co-op. "Heard you got your carbon contract," the manager said. "I did. Surprised they approved you without the digital system." Marcus shrugged. "They approved a lot of people. Heard the Kowalskis got theirs too. They bought your full precision package last year." The manager nodded. "They're getting $34 an acre. Same as me." The manager's expression shifted slightly. "So the system didn't increase their credit amount?" Marcus asked. "No. The payment's standardized per acre, but the system makes compliance easier." "For $178,000? The manager didn't answer. Marcus picked up his seed order receipt and turned to leave. "Good luck this season," the manager said. "Thanks, you too." That evening, Marcus's son Ryan came out to the shed. He was 17, interested in taking over the farm someday. "Dad, I heard you got approved for the carbon thing." "Yep, but we didn't buy the smart system the dealer wanted." Marcus tightened a bolt on the planter. "Nope." "So we didn't need it?" Marcus set the wrench down and looked at his son. "We needed proof, not permission." Ryan frowned. "What's the difference?" "Permission is what someone sells you. Proof is what you already have if you've been doing it right." He walked to the barn door and looked out at the fields, their surface dark and textured with residue. "When the soil tells the truth," Marcus said, "it doesn't matter who's tracking it." Ryan nodded slowly. Marcus picked up the wrench again. The Farmall sat quiet in the corner, ready for spring.